Society is punishing single moms.
Oh, the fact that he was talking about you go home and get in your bed. How do you know my baby got a home? How do you know my baby got a bed, her own bed that she can sleep in? She don't have that right now. So she was hired to belittle her in front of the whole world and her friends to make her even feel more worse about our situation. I'm a single mother. I'm trying my best.
Society is punishing single moms. Guys, I told you this was coming. I told you this was coming. So many of you may have not heard about this yet, but a little girl, she was 15 years old. She went to a court on a field trip and she fell asleep in the courthouse. And the judge basically had her handcuffed, put in a jumpsuit, and berated her. And, she's a child of a single mother who is basically struggling, moving from place to place right now. She doesn't have a home of her own. She doesn't have a place to sleep regularly. And the girl is suffering. But this is the result of women who have made bad choices, running around with Chad and Tyrone, and now their children are suffering as a result. Watch the end of the video to understand fully, entirely why society is punishing single moms and how these implications are going to affect more women going into the future as well as their spawn. And now let's just go ahead and jump right back into the video.
A judge in Detroit is off the bench after standing by his decision to put a 15-year-old girl in handcuffs.
Okay, so check this out. That girl was on a field trip to his courtroom.
You fall asleep in my courtroom one more time, I'm putting you in the back, understood? One thing you'll learn about my courtroom is that I am not a toy. I'm not to be played with.
The teen was with a nonprofit summer program. That is Judge Kenneth King. He removed her from his courtroom, then ordered her to put on a jail uniform and handcuffs, and didn't stop there.
I'm thinking maybe she needs to go to the juvenile detention facility. You do understand that we have a jail for kids.
So do I have any reservations? Do I think I was heavy-handed in what I did? No, I don't, because I'll do whatever it needs to be done to reach these kids to make sure that they don't end up in front of me. So that was my own version of scared straight.
Again, her crime was falling asleep. The teen's mother says the judge was way out of line. She says she's a struggling single mom and her family is moving from place to place, and she thought the summer program would be a good distraction for her daughter. Instead, her daughter is traumatized.
You sleep at home in your bed, not in court.
So the fact that he was talking about you go home and get in your bed. How do you know my baby got a home? How do you know my baby got a bed, her own bed that she can sleep in? She don't have that right now. So she was hired to belittle her in front of the whole world and her friends to make her even feel more worse about our situation. I'm a single mother. I'm trying my best. I'm doing everything that I can.
The district's chief judge says Judge King is being removed from his docket so he can undergo sensitivity training. Judge King had said he reached out to the teen's family and offered to mentor the 15-year-old. Her mother refused.
Yeah, this is a messed up story. So basically, it's really sad. I feel sorry for the little girl, but this is the result of what happens when you don't have a father in the home and you're the child of a single mom. Society is going to treat you poorly. Like the days of being giving handouts and celebrated, those are coming to an end. There's a very negative perception of single mothers. There's a very negative perception right now of childless women or women who are single mothers or women who are childless and basically speak down to men. Miserable cat ladies. That's what VP Vice President candidate Vance called them. So if we look further at the article, the Detroit judge who threatened sleepy teen with jail sends message to Black community. 36th District Court Judge Kenneth King should have known better than to abuse his authority by turning his courtroom into a reality television show. There's nothing amusing about the consequences of jailing Black folks, even if you're upset over a 15-year-old's attitude. Apparently, King, a judge who seems to participate in a fan group with more than 700 members, they get dedicated to him on Facebook, thought that the threat of jail was an appropriate punishment. In contempt of court for student Eva Goodman, who fell asleep during a field trip to his courtroom. It's bad enough that young Black folks actually are disproportionately jailed. Now Detroit has a judge who threatened a teen with jail time for falling asleep. King decided to make an example of the young lady first by yelling, "Wake up," and then by sending her out of the courtroom with jail staff for about 2 hours. making her wear a jail uniform with the Wayne County Jail on the back, putting her in handcuffs and holding an impromptu hearing before her peers, all available live online to anyone logged into King's courtroom. I'm sure that's not what the greening of Detroit expected when they set up the field trips to King's courtroom. Absolutely sad. Absolutely sad. But again, this is what happens when you don't have a father in the home. These are the kinds of things that your children will end up being subjected to. This is how society will perceive you. This is a black man who did this, y'all. This is not a white man. This is a black guy who did this. All right? It's not about race anymore, guys. People have a very negative perception of single mothers. They have a very negative perception of single mothers, and they have a very negative perception of children who come from fatherless homes. It's not about race anymore. It's not about race. Okay? Especially when you look at black men who got out of that, they worked hard, they got out of those communities. They have a bone to pick. They have a lot of anger towards single moms. Some of these men, they grew up in single mother households, and if it wasn't because of God and hard work and determination, they would never have made it out of those horrible communities. They would never have made it out of that living nightmare that those single mothers created for them. So they really have a bone to pick with single moms and the children of single moms. And this woman is out here screaming, like, she's crying about it, like we should feel sorry for her. I feel sorry for that little girl. I absolutely think that this guy went too far. I think it was humiliating what he did. And I feel sad that this little girl has to suffer now because of the terrible actions of her mother. But society is beginning to crack down on these people. Guys, if Trump gets elected, we all know what's happening. Like between Trump and Vance, they're basically letting everyone know that they're looking to cut those programs. They're looking to cut a lot of those programs for single moms. Okay? They're looking to Project 2025 is still real. All right? And then Trump has Agenda 47, I think that's what he calls it. Guys, all of these things are dedicated to basically rebuilding the family unit and punishing single mothers. Okay? Cutting welfare, cutting back on benefits. If a woman wants to be able to survive and thrive, she's either going to have to figure it out on her own, or she's going to need a man in the house. And women were not designed to live without a husband. You see, women left men. They basically traded in men for public assistance. And now, with hyperinflation and everything that's going on, the government can't take care of these women anymore. This is the fall of the Roman Empire all over again. I've said it plenty of times. This is what happened before Rome fell. Basically, men walked away when women got no-fault divorces, began running around with Chad and Tyrone, basically the gladiators. Within 100 years, men were being punished for not marrying, and they still wouldn't do it. They were being forced to run in the streets, during the winter time, and they were barred from all public events like the Colosseums and theaters. They still wouldn't marry. All of the empire's wealth went towards subsidizing the living of women in the empire. They banned no-fault divorce after it wreaked havoc, but it was too late. They had no military at all. They had no guards, nothing. Guys, they had zero military. They had zero people serving. The king, the emperor had no clothes. He had no one protecting him. He had no military in the empire. People could come and go as they please. Barbarians just took the entire Roman Empire apart, and all of it was because of women. All of it was because of women. All of the wealth, everything in the empire was gone. All right, subsidizing women, and men walked away. Men stopped protecting. Men stopped providing. Men stopped creating, and the barbarians pillaged the empire. We fell into 1,000 years of darkness, and then the church ruled over mankind, ruled over humanity for 1,000 years, keeping knowledge of reading, math, all technological innovations to themselves, and use them to rule over mankind. If you wanted to learn to read and write, you would have to learn these skills through the church. if you wanted to learn how architecture and aqueducts and all of these things, the church had a lot of that technology. They had massive archives of all of this knowledge, and they kept it and used it to rule over humanity for 1,000 years using fear. All of that stuff about witchcraft and everything else, a lot of that emerged during the Middle Ages. So much evil happened during that time, and it was because of the actions of women who decided that they didn't need men, and that they could, and that society was now going to be kind, and what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And don't forget, single men were called worse than all of the criminals, worse than all of the criminals in the Roman Empire. And when men realized that they were just disposable to the empire, and the empire wanted men to sacrifice their lives for the empire and for women, men left. And then all the children that were left in the empire, they were children, mostly children of Chad and Tyrone. So you had very low quality men that were raised with no father. So many of these men also became criminals. All right, guys, we're heading towards very hard times, and single mothers are going to be hit among the hardest when hyperinflation is bad right now. It's going to only set in more. A large part of me doesn't care if Trump doesn't win. I'm being so serious. A large part of me really doesn't care if Trump doesn't win, because he cannot stop this. He cannot stop this ship from sinking. All right. And if Harris gets in, she's only going to further accelerate it, and she's only going to further divide things, keep us divided. Because at that point, everyone's just going to go ballistic. And I'm personally on board. I'm like, because this ship, society is not going to collapse. Groups of people in society are going to collapse, and it's going to create a lot of opportunity. A lot of opportunity. I made a poll about it. All right. When things go to hell, when times get really, really tough, what you're going to see is, you're going to see not all, but many Gen Xers are going to step up and are going to take advantage of where others see hard times. Gen Xers are going to see opportunity, and they're going to dominate. They're going to dominate. Women are going to find themselves in extraordinary destitution that they've never experienced before, that we've only seen in third world countries. And people around the world are going to say, how did women in Western society, like the United States, like Australia, like the United Kingdom, end up in such extreme cases of destitution? Women are going to be in extreme destitution greater than women in third world countries, because they're not going to have a family unit to fall back on. And don't forget that most modern women today cannot cook and clean. Forget about cooking and cleaning for men. All right? We're not talking about cooking and cleaning for men. Most modern women cannot cook and clean for themselves, while most modern men can, with the exception of Gen Z, because they're losers. But the average woman in Western society, it doesn't matter if it's a Gen Z woman, millennial women, even a lot of Gen X women, they can't cook. All right? They can't cook. And the reason why they cannot cook is because they grew up hearing that cooking and cleaning were oppression, specifically among Gen Z and Gen X. All right? Cooking and Gen Z and the millennials. Cooking and cleaning are oppression. So not only should you not cook and clean for a man, you should not cook and clean for yourself. Those are things that are supposed to be done for you. Those are things that a man is supposed to provide for you. He's supposed to provide someone who cooks for you and food for you, and he's supposed to provide someone who cleans, or he should be doing those things for you. These are women with masculine energy, guys. You're going to see a lot of destitution, a lot of poverty among these individuals. A lot of them living in their cars, living in the streets, living in shelters, living in the woods. It's going to be horrible. By the way, guys, if you're enjoying the content, subscribe to our newsletter for my personal thoughts, insights, and a free copy of my ebook, The Blueprint for Escaping the Rat Race. Click the link in the description to get your free copy. What do you guys think regarding all of this? Society is punishing single moms. Let me know your thoughts, and we'll talk about it in the comments. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWM and walking away. And cheers.